Hi guys, so this week's market overview we're going to be focusing on the volume of vacancies out in the market and how that's affecting both clients and candidates and recruitment consultancies. So following on from last week's vlog and market overview, the underlying sentiment is a positive one. As we continue to come out of lockdown, we are definitely seeing an increase in the number of businesses going back to hiring. So there are a number of our clients who have dropped their recruitment freezes and are back to hiring again. We're obviously seeing new vacancies coming through to the market as well for businesses that are expanding and those, as I say, that are recovering. What that is creating is, well, the situation that we're in at the moment has created a very high volume of candidates on the market. So it's not like 2018 when we saw a real lack of candidates in analytics and data science. There was a real candidate shortage back then. It's not a candidate short market at the moment. It wasn't before we went into COVID and went into lockdown. So the challenge, I think, as I say, for both candidates and clients and us, is this volume of applications. So what that does for clients is it creates a huge amount of work. It's a massive time drain. And what you do find, unfortunately, when you get huge volumes of applications, is that the relevancy of applications drops. There's just no way you're going to get 600 perfect marketing managers applying for a marketing manager role. It's just not going to happen. So the challenge then comes is sifting through all of those and finding the relevant candidates. And if you are an HR manager who's having to cover recruitment as well at the moment, it's just impossible to be able to do that in an efficient manner and probably to a good degree, because your candidate experience is going to suffer. So it's a real time drain for talent acquisition managers. I know that, having spoken to a number of them. They're pulling their hair out, trying to deal with a massive volume of applications, lots of different vacancies, reorganisation of resource internally. There's just so much going on for them. I know that it's challenging and it's a difficult situation for them at the moment. For candidates, obviously, it can create huge amounts of uncertainty because you go to apply for a job on LinkedIn or Indeed and you see 500 applications, your confidence is going to wane, and it's difficult to know how to position yourself to make sure that you get seen. You don't know what goes on the other side on the other side of that screen, and who's reviewing it, if it is a person, whether it's going into an ATS system, what they're looking for. So I can give you a few kind of hints and tips on that as well. And then for us as recruiters, it's frustrating because although the market is buoyant to a certain degree, we're not as busy as we normally would be. So many companies are trying to hire directly at the moment because they know it's a candidate buoyant market, they know it's candidate rich, and also, of course, they're looking to cut costs anywhere that they can. Unfortunately, what that can often mean is that the candidate experience and therefore the employer brand suffers. I can't even imagine that every application gets reviewed. They just won't have the time. I spoke to one ex-colleague actually a few weeks ago who works agency side, and he said for the few vacancies that they did have advertised, they did have hundreds of applications, and so he wasn't able to spend more than 5 to 7 seconds per CV. So within maximum of 7 seconds, you had to make an impact for that talent manager to take your CV to one side and spend more time looking at it. So that is challenging in itself. You guys as candidates need to know what to include on that CV, and I'll go on to that in a minute. So just coming back to the client piece, I can imagine that maybe some line managers out there who are looking to hire for their teams, and their hands are tied, they're kind of being held to ransom by the talent acquisition managers or the recruitment teams, and there's a directorate from the business that they have to try and hire via direct channels, which is would have been the norm anyway, but perhaps is more so at the moment. It might be frustrating. You might not be getting the CVs through in the time frame that you want them. The quality might not be there. The rigorous screening might not be there because they just don't have the time or the expertise. So the experience for you as well as a hiring manager might be thwarted, and it might be frustrating. So we've been running a service over lockdown called Sift to Shortlist, which helps businesses to just admin those applications really. And it's not just a case of going through hundreds of applications. We're able to apply our expert lens and genuinely bring you a short list of candidates that are suitable for the role, and we can also apply commentary to that as well, giving advice on who we think is best fit. So I mean, that is very simple. It's a reduced service, but it's part and parcel of what we do every day when we're dealing with our own applications. But we can kind of layer that service and bring that into your internal team if that helps you to save time and in turn money, and also protect the candidate experience and in turn your employer brand. So that's something that's been working really well for our clients at the moment, whilst they're not going out and paying full recruitment fees. Additionally, with regards to candidates, the advice that I would give in terms of tailoring your CV for what is a very busy market at the moment, that first page has to be impactful. So if you've gone with loads of graphics, a massive photograph of yourself, using up space, that this stuff it's immediately going to put somebody off. I would remove any kind of visuals like that. I think, again, the content is what people are going to be scanning for. They are going to be looking for the right keywords, and I don't mean that you want to just chuck a load of keywords in there, willy-nilly. You need to think carefully about using different types of descriptive words to talk about the same thing, if you like, throughout the CV. So you want to make sure that your first page has your job title and where you've worked. That needs to really stand out, and then the description of what you do needs to be punchy and, as I say, I keep using this word, but succinct and yet detailed, which is a difficult balance to find. And a profile, as I've said previously as well, that is a great way to just very quickly summarise who you are and what you do. And it's the first point where everybody's eyes go to when they're looking at CVs, and that'll be the first piece of information that's digested. So that's got to really grab somebody's attention. Just think about how much information somebody can digest within 7 seconds. It's not a lot. So profile, education, and then the most recent job, that's all they're going to be looking at. If you haven't worked for a really well-known brand and it's a startup, state that. Put that it's a fintech startup or a digital startup, so that people don't have to go away and then cross-reference and review. If the fact that you were working for a really exciting startup is like the selling point, then you need to state that on the CV. So probably apply a little bit of a kind of idiot's guide to your CV almost. If you feel like you're stating the obvious, it doesn't matter if you think it's going to catch somebody's eye, and when it does, it's going to impress them. So hope that helps. I think the kind of takeaway from this week's roundup is job market is busy. Recruiters aren't quite as busy as they normally would be, so aren't able to help you as much as they normally would be able to. You're going to have to do a lot of the legwork yourself, but hopefully there's some hints and tips in there to make you stand out from the crowd. We do expect the recruiter job market to get busier as companies find it more and more difficult to deal with the volume, and hopefully the market continues to open up and things return to some kind of normal. So we're on a positive upward trajectory at the moment, and long may it continue. As always, any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me, and I'll be back next week.